Hi, it's Taking Back Canada with Katie, but tonight I'm going to talk about our good neighbors south of the border USA election. So I've come on, I don't usually come on and talk about US politics. I mean, I might mention something that ties in to everything that we've been facing the last few years, but I just wanted to share my prediction, and it's a really odd one. So know that it didn't come from me, but it's like a prophecy that somebody shared with me, and it's always gotten me, like, whether you agree with it or not. It just kind of, like, looking back now, about 3-4 years ago, I don't know if it was before the 2020 election or if it was after when Trump lost, but somebody came on YouTube and they left me like a really big long comment, and I swear, like, I took a picture of it and printed it, but I scanned all my photos this morning, and I looked in my, little places that I like to keep special things or things I want to, be able to find again. And I can't find it. So I'm just going to recite it from memory. And, gee, I don't mean to be Miss Doomy. It's not really great, so don't fault me. I'm just sharing something that sort of resonated. And I'll tell you why it resonates after I tell you the prophecy. And, like, if you've been following my channel for a while, then you know that about 1.5 years ago, I made a video where I, like, went to sleep. I prayed and asked God for the answers in a dream if my husband and I should stay in Canada and fight or leave. And that dream I told you about, being backstage, this big backstage, and the crew, there's people scurrying about, moving props here and there, and I hear a noise from above, and crash comes falling down turd, and just like, it's just like boom, like a big thud, and he was on impact. So, but then the rest of the dream carried on that we were going into New World Order, and I was talking to 2 teachers, saying to them, "Oh, you guys thought I was kind of crazy a few years ago, eh?" And they were like, "Yeah," solemnly nodding. So so the reason I want to tell you about this, this prophecy that somebody said to me about the future of America and Trump's role in it, it just sort of touches me with a truth. Because I think that they're all friends. I don't believe for a second that he just turned on his elite friends and decided to save America, because this stuff's been planned for a really long time. But I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. So the on YouTube 3-4 years ago, somebody came on and they wrote kind of a big long response to something I said, and they said, "So here's what's going to happen. Like, the opposition's going to get in, and Donald's not going to get in. There's going to be a huge, uproar, all kinds of crazy things, rioting going on in the streets. It's going to carry on into the next year. Things are going to get really bad globally, not just in America, but everywhere. And all of a sudden, and while everything's getting bad, more and more is going to keep coming out about, that kind of SA trafficking and special parties and freak offs and just the whole entwined system of it all. And that more things are going to start coming out on that and those connections. And just then it's going to sort of come to a big climax, and he's going to, like, Supreme Court's going to overturn something. Maybe it'll get really ugly, like they'll actually put him in prison, and then it'll be flipped, and suddenly he'll be like, they'll bring down, like, the traitors, and he'll suddenly be installed as president, and the world will rejoice, right? The world will be so excited and happy. And he's going to, tell them, like, that he's going to make everything better, but that they have to sign on to, like, this digital currency or this and that, because, there's no money left, that the dollar's been broken, and people will trust him, kind of like the Antichrist Theory, right? And you've probably heard that before. And then as he does that, he'll start locking up and exposing, like, all of the traitors. Well, they'll be exposed pretty much already, and he'll start locking them up. But then just the end of this paragraph that he left me said, then it's just gonna twists, like he's going to make a big spectacular grand show of having them all come out with him on stage somewhere where the whole world will see that they're united and friends and had this planned. So it sounds doomy, but I can't help, just everything we watch, even in Canada, is a big show. That so much, and it always just seems to me, even just, you know, with Putin and stuff, that, oh, I'm going to do this, and we're gonna do this, and just every little step of everything they're doing keeps coming out, and I don't feel like that's real. Like, it feels scripted. So hey, I hope I'm wrong and that he gets in and he is, you know, who he was when he was in office for 4 years. He did a great job. Love him or hate him, who cares if he's a dick, because he did a really good job running the states like a business, and he had no wars and he was peaceful. So this is not to bash him, but it's just that story, that prophecies never kind of left me. Like, it's always like kind of been in the back of my mind. So some things that substantiate that to me are some things I've never gotten over, like seeing pictures of Ivanka Trump with the World Economic Forum, the Young Global Leaders Program. I don't think if he was absolutely like their nemesis, that they would let his kid in, right? Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And just all of their friendships and all of that coming to an end. Now, I hope I'm wrong. That's where I hope I'm wrong. That, you know, hey, some people have awakenings and all of a sudden feel that God's chosen them for a purpose to do the right thing. But then there's this matter of Alan Dershowitz. So what, I've never heard anybody explain this properly, and nobody ever wants to answer it when I talk about it. But Alan Dershowitz was the original, was he the Palm Beach district attorney or something in Florida, who gave Jeffrey Epstein his sweet little hotel deal, you know, where he was like, had to go to jail from 8 at night till 8 in the morning, and then he, you know, he could go off and do his thing, and, you know, he was in like in pretty luxe accommodations. That was Alan Dershowitz. And then he was accused by Virginia, I think, one of the people that got Epstein caught, but I think he was accused by a few different women for doing stuff to them, and he denied it. And then Trump used him as his lawyer and advisor in the last 7-8 years. And I get tired of the, oh, you know, he just keeps picking the wrong people. Like, you know, that's a really bad example to use of him picking, because everybody by that point knew what Epstein was into. And, you know, just seeing the old pictures of them, and, you know, his wife Melania, and hanging out with Maxwell. And there was something, a documentary I watched one time. I read a whole book on Hillary. I bought, like, at a used store. I would never spend my good money on a book with her. But I read her book, what was that called? What Happened. And it was actually at the very end of the book where she really revealed who she was. When she talked about, like, the opposition coming from the Midwest, like the older people and the, you know, middle class people going, wow, that's too bad. You know, like, things are changing and they don't like that. And I thought, oh, there you go. She just admitted that, you know, they're crushing all of the industries. And so Trump, there was a documentary that I watched, and he was really good friends, like, while he was with Ivanka, the first wife, and they were like redoing the whole Trump hotel. They were quite a team, but then Ivanka during the interview said that he just sort of became really mean after a while. And he started hanging out with, now I know I said his name was Tommy, and he's like a Satanist, like Tommy the Devil, but I was wrong. So you'd have to Google, like, just someone he was really close to who was, he was disbarred by the Law Association because he was so corrupt. And then he died while Trump was president. And it was rumored that, you know, Trump and some of the guys in the office were, oh, wouldn't that be amazing if he was alive to see this? And, you know, they were just part of a whole old boys network. So other than if he's had, like, you know, a real enlightening with God, I just can't see, you know, and there's more I want to say, but geez, you have to be so careful on here. But believe that America is not being run by America, that there's the same people Jeffrey Epstein was involved with, Mossad, there's a big blackmail thing. And there's even a book that Whitney Webb wrote called One Nation Under Blackmail. And that's interesting. You know, so many of the people pushing policies are compromised, being blackmailed with really big stuff. And, you know, again, to substantiate that claim, just take a look at P. Diddy and Epstein and Maxwell. And even Prince Charles, his old buddy, Jimmy Savile, who upon his death, it came out he was a notorious pedophile. You can see pictures. I found a picture of him and posted it a few weeks ago of Starmer, the Prime Minister of England, when he was a little boy. It's kind of gross too. It's chilling because you look at the picture when he's a little boy and his little forehead looks really, and he's smiling kind of evilly and his forehead just looks heavy, and it's, you know, sad. I think so many of these people are groomed and put into positions of power, and, you know, they live in a bubble, and I think a lot more is going to come out. So I do really hope I'm wrong, but I just wanted to, just being on the night of the election, just say I kind of think that Camel Toe's going to steal it, and that things are going to get really nutty for a while, and she's going to really start pushing in like all the draconian stuff, like the you know, misinformation, disinformation laws, and really, you know, go after the pew-pews. And I think it's just, and, you know, hunger and cost of living, and I think everything's just going to reach like an absolute peak. And so I'm predicting by about 2025, maybe even like towards Christmas, that when things are their absolute darkest, that somehow he's going to flip it around and he's going to somehow claim his spot in the Oval Office. And yeah, well, that's what I was told, and it just sort of hits me a funny way. So feel free to comment. I'm not going to get into big arguments about it, because I'm not saying I don't like him. And I'm not saying I like him either for stuff that he's allegedly done with women, but they're all like that there. So if you support or watch any other, you listen to certain music artists or you're watching their shows, you're supporting them too. So who gives a shit, right? Like, it's just about, can you run a country or not? Okay, so I think that's it. We'll just see where this goes next year. We'll file this away under predictions. Have a good night.